At the launch of the new Tiago NRG, we are speaking with Vivek Srivatsa, Marketing Head at Tata Motors Passenger Car Business Unit.
So great, Vivek. Thanks for having us on at least online and talking to us. And I think the first thing is congratulations on the launch.
Yeah,
And that brings me to my first question actually. How do you all refer to the car, NRG or Energy?
NRG. But it's a proper noun. You can call it anything you want. As long as you talk about it with a lot of energy, it's okay.
Well said. True. Great. So, yep, it is the NRG then. So yeah, I mean, it's a new launch, yes, and but it's also a reintroduction of a brand that you had earlier. And so I want to know what was the rationale, what was the thought in reintroducing this brand? Why bring it back now with the facelift?
Yeah. So start with obviously we launched it in 2018 October in the BS4 version, Sergius. So obviously it went on till the BS6, but at the time of BS6 launch, we had a bit of a bandwidth issue internally. So we had just put it off for launch by a few months. But obviously after that, the pandemic hit and everything has kind of
Correct.
gone off. But the experience we had with the BS4 version was very good. The initial demand was really strong, and it catered to a very unique kind of customer need, which I elaborated. I think it catered to divergent kind of need, being compact, fuel efficient, but yet kind of have the ability to go beyond where normal hatchbacks go. And design also was liked a lot. And now considering that the design of the Tiago itself has evolved into the Impact Design 2.0, and we also have updated the design of the Energy in terms of how the body claddings look and all that. We thought it's a good time to come back to that the cross-hatch kind of a market.
Correct.
It was a proven product. There's a lot of demand around the product, and it's good to get back. Yeah.
True. So no, that in fact you said it did well for you all the last time, and so in terms of within the Tiago brand and variants, how well did it do in terms of percentage maybe or?
Yeah. So when we launched it, actually the demand was huge. It went up to 20-25% of the Tiago portfolio in terms of demand. But over a period of for the time it was active in the BS4 version, which is about maybe close to 18 odd months, the demand was around 10-12%. So which is quite large considering Tiago itself is a good volume car.
Correct. That's true. Actually, that is quite large. I mean, it's substantially more than I would think some of the other cross hatches we've had in the past, which honestly haven't done too well. They've not met with success. And actually, that's the other thing I wanted to know from you is why do you all think this one then did have success compared to other cross hatches, which don't seem to be able to sort of create a niche segment? How did you all create this niche segment?
Yeah, I think two things. One is, like I said, it was not just a cosmetic upgrade. We put some engineering adaptation also behind it, raising the suspension by 15 gave it a lot of flexibility in terms of how it could perform on bad roads. Plus, also the way we have priced it, I thought for the content that it has, it's very attractive in terms of an upgrade from a normal hatch. A combination of these two is what I would say, but fundamentally the Tiago itself is a strong, the platform, it's quite a robust little car, and people love the way it drove actually. When the higher ground clearance and the robustness of the drive, I guess people really loved it. So it's a combination of the functionality, the pricing, and the content that we gave. I guess that is what did well. One point I'd like to add also is that when owing to the transition from BS4 to BS6, we didn't have the opportunity to put a lot of product development might and marketing might into the earlier energy. But now we know that it's going to be with us for a longer time. So you'll see, a lot of obviously marketing behind it, but it will also be the subject to all the product changes that's going to come from now into the future. So we are quite confident that we add substantially to our performance.
Okay, so great. So what you're saying is this is not going to be a one-off thing. It's going to sustain and benefit from all of whatever changes happen on Tiago would also transfer to NRG.
Exactly.
Okay. But yeah, I think what you said, in fact, I would agree with that. The raised ground clearance is something that is tangibly a tangible benefit beyond just the cosmetic benefits, and I think I guess customers appreciated that over the other cross hatches.
Exactly.
But also, just wanted to see in that same thing, Vivek, when in the transition, like you said, from BS4 to BS6, you all also have dropped diesel. So what's the plan there? Because I mean, diesel is still active, and still in some demand.
Yeah. So diesel, I mean, from our entry car portfolio, we have dropped diesel with both Tiago and Tigor. The diesels we have dropped that. Because we thought financially it did not make sense in the entry car segment. And I think we are not the only ones, across the industry, entry cars have gone purely petrol. But obviously we have in the one segments above that, in the Altros, we have diesel. In Nexon, we continue to have diesel. So it's really a little bit of, financial hygiene that we look. And I think it's fairly corroborated with the penetration of diesel is better in the upper segment cars. But for a customer who's a little bit more sensitive on cost of acquisition and probably kind of kilometerage that this customer puts in as so I guess petrol only is a good option.
Okay. Okay. And what about CNGs? I mean, that's something that you all have in the past also said you all could look at, right? So is that something that you would think would be a good fit in the NRG?
So I won't comment specifically on NRG, Sergius, but like Mohan said earlier in the press meet, CNG is something we are really looking at. It will be part of our portfolio pretty soon. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So part of the overall portfolio, maybe not Tiago or maybe.
So obviously, which are the products get it, but it will be in some of the products. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Coming back to the NRG, you said that you all did raise the ground clearance. Are there any other technical differences between the two cars, or beyond that, is it just the aesthetics?
So, when looking purely at the development of the energy and not comparing it with the Tiago, obviously the powertrain is now BS6. With BS6, we enhance the power output as well as the fuel efficiency.
Right.
And there are most of the other things are, fairly, I would say, to add to the cosmetic part of the car, which is dual tone roof. You already asked that question in terms of the roof rails. So that also. But at that we had to stick to a price point. So beyond that, we didn't feel it necessary. But I have to say that the BS6 powertrain of the Tiago is, far more drivable. We had focused a lot on the drivability of the engine in the BS6 compared to what it was earlier, and customers are really appreciating it now. So that obviously helps in the energy as well.
Right. And speaking of customers, Vivek, where do you think your customers would come from? And obviously, for a brand and for you, one of your main challenges is to make sure it doesn't sort of come from within the Tiago thing. Do you think that will be the case? People will see this as another variant, or will you be able to get in some additional?
Yeah. So I think going back to the experience we had with the BS4, we did get some. There's bound to be some people who move up from the Tiago to the energy. But we had a very good demand building up in the smaller towns as well, where people generally are faced with smaller roads, worse roads, rural roads. And in the big cities as well, we saw. So we found, a very good split between the larger cities and the smaller towns. Normally, Tiago sales is increasingly higher in the smaller towns now for us. But with the saw better traction in the larger towns, but good demand coming from the smaller towns as well. So we feel that it's going to be pretty well spread between the larger towns and smaller towns. In the smaller towns, for the first time car buyer, it's going to be a very attractive proposition. You know, that it ticks many boxes what they want.
Right.
And that's one of our key customer profiles. And the other thing is, anyway, the first time car buyer is hugely in the market, you know.
Right.
For example, currently for Tiago, close to 65% of our buyers are first time car buyers. And, you know, so for that kind of a buyer who's a one car household, this becomes a very, very flexible kind of a car, you know, which does all.
Right. So it's like a one use for like multiple uses, one car for multiple
Yeah,
uses.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Without,
Right.
without discomfort, you know. I mean, of course, every car people in India use it for all kind of purpose, but this just is able to do it in a much more better manner.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, and I think also, looking at well, SUVs in India and SUV-like vehicles, generally people are obviously now preferring them to regular hatchbacks or sedans. Obviously, the NRG would also benefit from that sentiment,
Yeah.
in terms of the.
Yeah,
Uh,
we are not calling it an SUV at all. I mean,
True.
we are
No,
not even taking
thank you for
marketing
that.
to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
thank you for that
But
because
yes,
it's sometimes very disappointing to hear manufacturers call anything and everything an SUV.
exactly.
So
But you won't see Tata doing that, and I think we little honest to ourselves there, and that's why we call it a tough road. I mean, we acknowledge it's not an SUV, but it's better than your average hatchback. But you're right. I think that preference for a higher ground clearance and a slightly Mako-looking car will
correct.
have a off on this as well.
Correct, correct. And looking at then your portfolio, right? I mean, it will obviously compete with other siblings like the Tiago regular variants, but also your upcoming HBX. Do you think you'll be able to differentiate it sufficiently?
For sure. I mean, HBX, I mean, you've seen the car, you know, and
Right. Yeah.
where it looks like a hatch, right? It's an out and out SUV in terms of proportions, looks,
Correct.
and I mean, that will be a proper SUV. And
Right.
we've seen the HBX concept, and that's as close as what the
Right.
product is going to be. And this is a crosshatch at best. So
Right.
it's a completely different customer segments and product segments.
Okay. Okay. Great. Yeah, no, we'll look forward to that one also. Because
So, so
I think ever since you all have shown it in its concept form and the close to production form, everyone's been obviously waiting for it to come. Right. But yeah, we'll I guess we are having to wait longer. Do I get to know how much longer?
no, no. I mean, with all the uncertainties, we don't want to get into that now.
Right, right. No, that is true. And speaking of the uncertainties, Vivek, a lot of brands have. I mean, it's a slightly question, maybe slightly a little away from the NRG, but how has it affected you all in terms of production? Like the semiconductor shortage, for example, has affected brands like Ford and Mahindra, who have gone out and said that it has affected things.
Yeah.
How is that playing out for you all?
See, the semiconductor shortage is worldwide, you know, it's
Exactly.
impacted automakers worldwide. You know, we hear of the situation in the US where new cars are not available at all. Used
Correct.
car prices gone up. I think it's a very big wake up call for the industry itself on,
Mm.
firstly, how better to manage the supply chain part of semiconductors,
Right.
and which is not the traditional supply chain. You know, it's something which we always have taken for granted that it will be available. And also how to better plan. So the way we are managing is, I think, going back to the basics, better coordination with suppliers, better demand planning. Yes, it is hitting our production, but we still have managed the all-time high wholesale last month. So I think kudos to our supply chain and the plant for having delivered this kind of volume despite the shortages. But yes, there are quite a lot of, I would say, adjustments and flexibilities that we are building in to overcome this shortage.
Okay, okay, great, great. So basically, what you're saying is it is an issue, but that you'll have to work around. It's not
Yeah.
that y'all are smoothly sailing or something, and you have to
We
work hard at it.
we are hit as much as any other company.
Right,
Not
right.
more, not more. Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. No, and yes, congratulations. I mean, obviously, sales are doing very well for you all. We've been seeing it all through, and somehow the pandemic and things like that have maybe moved in a little bit in Tata's favor also. I think also there's been a small sort of nationalistic wave also during this phase that probably you all can and are probably riding. Do you think that's also a factor?
I mean that that could be a factor, but I don't think customers decide only on that.
Right,
It could be last 0.5% which makes them decide. But
right.
and we like to also think that our products have matured really well right now,
True,
and
true.
we have a very well planned out portfolio. With relatively lesser number of cars, we are able to have a broader bandwidth, and
Correct,
each of the products also fall into the perfect space within each segment in
correct.
terms of price, performance, features. So I
True.
think it's also a summary of a lot of years of planning, and
Right.
of course the last one, like I said, 0.5% also helps.
True, true, true. That's true. That's true.
Make
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 So you also said, Vivek, like it's a well planned portfolio, and I would agree to a large extent. I mean, it is definitely the case. You've got from SUVs and hatchbacks and cross hatches now, of course, but what we know also, from what you all have said in the past, is after the HBX, there's going to be maybe a little bit of a gap to new platforms and new generation of products. So can we expect to see more variations in terms of, like NRG, dark editions and things like that? Because they are received very well also,
Yeah.
so can we expect more on these
Sure.
lines?
As part of the new forever philosophy, that's the whole direction we have followed, Sergius. In fact, this is one area where honestly we felt we didn't do very well in the past, which is life cycle management. But
Right.
now in the new forever philosophy, we said that while we launch new design, new safety in Jan 2020, but we'll ensure that the products remain fresh as they age, and
Right.
that's why most across every single product you would have seen uh, interventions, both in terms of features, in terms of special editions, instead of in terms of themes, and we'll follow that very strongly.
Which actually brings me to a question from, I would say, our fans and readers and followers, because ever since we've done the story about this launch, I think one of the most popular, if I look at comments, probably question has been will there be a dark edition? So
So Dark Edition right now we've launched it on the so-called premium products, Harrier, and also the slightly more, I would say, expressive products, which is the Nexon and the Harrier and the Altros as well. But if there's demand, if we feel customer sentiment demands that kind of a product, even in the Tiago, we won't say no. But right now, we don't have anything planned.
right, right, right. Yeah, I guess then looking at all the reaction we're getting, perhaps you'll have to reconsider. you know.
Yeah,
Um,
let me know, sir. Yes, if customer.
Absolutely, Vivek. And great. It was nice talking to you, Vivek. I think we've kind of run out of our time as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, so thanks for speaking with us, and
sure.
wish you and the NRG all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Just take care. See you soon.
You too,
Bye.
Vivek. Yeah. Bye bye.